so much for joining, Hilde.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
I
I can't wait to go into to get your take on NFTs and the art world's take on NFTs and hear about a future of the art world and all of that.
Oh God, if there is a future. No, I'm just kidding. Of course.
How are you feeling about it?
Oh, it's fine. Like every market cycles, like every single market, like that. I am actually really glad that I went to. We'll get into this, but this is why I'm glad I went to business school. And I do think that art school should be business school for the first 2 years, and then you get the privilege to learn how to make the pretty thing, because as soon as you understand like how markets function and cycle and what supply and demand is and what a Veblen good is and as soon as you like basic macroeconomics, like you can't be afraid.
All right, well,
this makes Jamie really uncomfortable. That's actually quite fun.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Just like shamelessly flirt with her.
Yeah.
Objectify Jamie.
Yes, let's objectify Jamie.
Start a new section every episode called Objectify Jamie.
Yes. No, you know what? We would actually get more listeners.
Yeah.
It would actually
and it's
work.
it's the guest's job to make the host as uncomfortable as possible.
Yes. Okay. You'd be really good at this, Hilde.
I'm already
feel free. But yeah, I actually want to hear more about you to start with. Who is Hilde? Who's Jerry Gogosian? Is it a performance? Yeah, tell us more about yourself, because I was telling Jamie earlier, I came across your account, I think during COVID. You sort of really became viral during that time because you made memes that no one else made before that, and you exposed the art world or made fun of it. I think before anyone else that I can think of. I think you were definitely the first one, and now we're sort of seeing it a little bit, people complaining about the art world and saying, you know, openly what they actually think about it. I think before that, nobody was openly talking about it. So tell us more about yourself.
Okay. Yes, I am how people like in the comment section are like first to comment. Yes, I was the first one to trash the art world. I take a lot of pride in that. I'm just kidding. But I would say that I started Jerry Gogosian 8 years ago. So it's like a very long running art project. So Jerry Gogosian is an art project. I am Hilde. Sometimes I answer to Jerry because I would say it's like 70-30, like 70% professionally people call me Jerry at this point, and 30% of people even know my name. So I naturally respond, but it is an art project. And I started it before the tagline was your best friend in the art world. My tagline just used to be that I was at the cutting edge of stating the obvious, because I actually genuinely didn't know that people weren't talking about stuff. Like, it was just really obvious to me. I mean, the only thing that I can say is like, maybe I realized pretty soon once I got into the art world that it was like being in the mafia a little bit, and the sort of higher up you got and the closer to power and the proximity to the kind of wealth that comes with that, the more silent people became and the more permissive people became of like pretty insane behavior, and how it became the opposite of, I mean, I was very young when I started studying art. I was 21 or 20 years old. So obviously some of my ideas had to change, but I didn't go into art because I wanted to live in like this ultra conservative, reserved, restrained, hyper composed, overly manicured existence. And then as I started working in the art world, it was like, it's sort of like, what do they say in the Bible? Like, the way that you get gold is like you heat up the metal, and then you wipe away the dross, and then you heat it up again, and that, or another way, what do they say, like all the cream rises to the top, like just that sort of refinement process over and over again. But the higher you go up in that refinement process, it loses so much of its magic and like all the fun stuff. I think probably the best time to have ever been in the art world in recent history was maybe the 90s or something, when it was like you could be edgy, like I sorry, this is a long answer, but like I was thinking the other day about like the Balenciaga, there's just many of the campaigns that Demna has done with Balenciaga, and I'm like, if it were the 90s, I would think this is so amazing and so cool. But the 90s already happened. So it's like, it's not really that cool. It's kind of like almost passe to be like shocking. And I don't know, I just felt like I got into the art world. I thought it was one thing. I remember the first time I was reprimanded at a gallery job, I was like laughing, talking out loud to somebody who was visiting the gallery about how I'd gotten blackout drunk the night before, and like, I don't know, maybe I like threw up on the bar. I don't know. I was talking about something, and I remember that I almost got fired because of that. And I was like, what? Like, I was like a feral child. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is art. Like, this is the art world. Like, I can get blackout drunk. Like, it's okay. And they're like, no, you can't, because you work at a gallery where you're representing other people and their like livelihood and their well-being. And that was just like intro, reprimanding number one. I've been fired from every job I've ever had in the art world except for the ones I created for myself. I was a very, very, very bad employee. But observing sort of all of these rules, I on one hand I loved it, and I also think it's very funny in the same way that people like the royal family or something. You're like, this is absurd. It's 2025 that this like exists, but also like, I kind of think it's cool. Like, I like to see who shakes hands with who first. Like, there's a pecking order, there's hierarchy, there's, obvious like power imbalances, and it's very dramatic. I don't know, the art world is just such a fascinating, interesting place. So when I started just making jokes on the internet about it, I figured I never checked to see if somebody else was doing it too. Like, I wasn't like, oh, is this going on elsewhere? I was just like,
and sorry,
oh,
where were you working when you started? What galleries?
I've worked at every level, every tier of every gallery. I've worked at everything from artist-run spaces to vanity projects to mid-tier galleries to blue-chip galleries. So I sort of worked my way through the ranks. Some of these galleries still exist, some don't. And then I actually had a gallery for 2 years in Los Angeles. So that was sort of that was the last time I worked at a gallery.
So
it was I worked
where are you originally from, Hilde?
I was born in Oakland, California, but I was raised internationally. My dad worked for the State Department. Some people refer to that as the CIA. And we lived in like post-Soviet Russian countries, and like we also lived around the US. So we sort of had a very mixed childhood. It was still like middle class. Like, we weren't as good as the like ambassadors' children.
Mm-hmm.
Like even then there was hierarchy, but we were still like State Department kids. And so we did get to like travel, and we had real education, I would say, like pretty young, like because we were American, and my parents were really strict on education. But then my like living in countries that had recently completely collapsed and seeing how people survive and figure things out was also just made a huge impact on me. And my sort of like, I don't get scared very easily by things like the market. Right now, everyone's freaking out about the market, and I'm like, it'll be back. It's gonna be fine. Like, we might just have to eat a lot of cabbage soup for a while, but you know, everything will be fine.
So when did you move? So when you started your gallery job, well, you educated to be, well, you went to school to become an artist, right? And you are an artist, but that was sort of your first path into the art world. And then you practiced as an artist quite early on, Hilde, and then you also had a gallery job on the side. How did that work?
No, because I got the most worthless art degree on the planet, which is I studied conceptual art and new genres, which is like it's like the emperor's new clothes for $175,000. I went to school in Norway.
That is not work in itself, that degree. Wow.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, the fact that I'm not like live streaming this from like Skid Row in Los Angeles is like the luck of being like struck by lightning several times in life, because how I've survived with that kind of an education formally is beyond me. I mean, I did go back and get an executive MBA from NYU, but like that was years later. But yeah, I studied art for 7 years. So but I never really practiced. I mean, I've always practiced. Like, it depends on what a person means by that. Like, have I gone into a studio? No. I mean, I have an office, but like, I don't go into a studio. I don't do things like that. But I like to describe my practice, and I'm doing the air quotes for anyone who's not watching this, as like it's like rain clouds in the desert, you know, like there's nothing for so long, and it's just like waiting, and then one day it rains, and like I will do so much. I will do like a half of a year's worth of work in like 1 week, and then like there'll be nothing again for a very long time. Like, that's just how I think. That's how I operate. I try to be more balanced, but I'm not balanced. I'm not I'm not a multitasker. I can't do more than one thing at one time. I do one thing at a time, slowly. Hopefully it turns out all right. Jerry Gagosian's the only thing I've ever done like consistently besides like go to Pilates. Like, I go to Pilates and I post on Jerry Gagosian.
Is Jerry Gagosian an artwork?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
3,800 posts worth of art.
But is Jerry Gagosian an artwork, or is Jerry Gagosian an alter ego? Like, is it a performance, or is it an artwork? I mean, these are like small things to ask, but I think it does make a difference.
I don't know. I think that I can get into a certain rhythm of speaking a certain way when I'm playing around, but all I'm doing is mimicking the art world, because there's nuance to language that's used, and I'm not talking about art speak, because I think art speak is obnoxious and only sort of exists in academia, or like overly wordy catalogs, you know, that nobody reads when they buy an artwork. But there are certain words, like you would never say like, oh, we sold that artwork to an institution. Like, you would never say that. You would say like, the work was placed by a private donor after an acquisition. You know, like, just these like sort of little nuances. And it's so fucking ridiculous, because you're like,
doesn't it annoy you? Like, how do you
sold it is writing it off in their taxes.
How do you like put up with all of it? Like, I find it so annoying. And
Jamie's super allergic to that kind of language.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of get off on it. I'm like, say it again. Oh, say it again. It's so ridiculous. Like, oh my God, really? I think it's kind of like, it's like, I love watching the auctions like live, and I get auction crushes, like auctioneer crushes. I don't want to say who because I don't want to embarrass myself right now, but I have one.
Come on, this is an open podcast. Go on, we'll pin it.
It's not just like him. It's like the way he wears, and he's like, the bid is with you. I'm like, oh, the bid is with me. Yes. You know, I just like love it. I love it so much. But I think it is the art world is a performance.
Well, I was just going to say that, and I think that's why it's so entertaining. I love the art world for that. I mean, you know, one of my favorite things is to go to Frieze and watch the people. Honestly, not the artworks. I love seeing what people wear at Frieze. I think the outfits are amazing. And I love seeing interactions. I love seeing people who haven't seen each other in a very long time, how they interact with each other, and I pick up whether they're jealous of each other or they're genuinely excited to see each other. I think the art world is a performance in itself, but I do think that's kind of the pull of it as well. At what point, because it took me a while to kind of realize, okay, I'm actually kind of sick of this. At what point were you like, this is ridiculous, these people are just like, I gotta call them out? Like, at which point did you feel like I've had enough?
Well, actually, it wasn't that. Again, because this is what happens when you create a monster. Like, I always tell the people that run, or I used to tell Mark Spiegler, who used to be the CEO of Art Basel, I was like, you can't get mad at me for anything I say or anything I do in public, because do you know how I figured out I was an artist? It was 2005. I was 20 years old. I got high. I went to Art Basel in Miami, when Art Basel might as well have been a stamp collector's gathering. Okay, there was no one there. And I was stoned out of my mind. And I was like, this is the coolest shit I have ever seen. And I like changed my entire life. I was like a bartender at Hooters, which is like where you dress up like a cheerleader and you serve chicken wings. Like, I was like a bartender at Hooters. I was like in community college. I was like, you know, coasting on, you know, decent looks to hopefully like hook a rich guy. And, you know, that was probably going to be as far as I was going to go in life. And then I just got super into art and dropped everything and like went and started traveling the world and studying art. And I fell madly in love with it and became obsessed with it. But then when I had my gallery in 2018,
which was in LA.
This is in LA. Mm-hmm. Cue the violins. You can, for the producer here, please play slow, dramatic violin music. I was bit by a tick in 2018. And I contracted a disease called typhus rickettsia, which sounds like a really chic Victorian disease to get, but actually it's the kind that'll like kill you in 10 days if they don't catch it. And so I ended up in the ICU. No, I was in upstate New York. I went to officiate a wedding in upstate New York for friends, and it was like a hippie wedding, so we were all standing barefoot in the grass, and I got bit by a tick, and I had no idea.
That is the craziest story I've ever heard.
Yeah. So then I ended up in the ICU for like 16 days. I went blind. I went deaf. I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't use my feet. Oh my goodness. It like fucked my life up for a long time. I was completely like army crawled to the bathroom. Did they know
immediately it was a tick? Did they know immediately what it was?
I was first diagnosed with meningitis, and then finally they got an infectious disease doctor to like come in, and they were like, have you been close to, they were like, were you in East Asia? I was like, no. They're like, because you have an East Asian tick-borne illness. And I was like, oh, okay. And I guess because of global warming, ticks like jump on and off animals like rats that travel, you know, across the sea that are carrying this disease. And I got bit by a tick. So It's kind of a ridiculous twist of fate. So I got bit by a tick, and I was bedridden for about 9 months. So and really, like, I thought this is over for me. Like, obviously the gallery had to close. I had to move home to my parents' house. I had no money. I think I had like
How old were you then?
30, 31 or something, 32. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 32. I was 8 years ago.
So young, yeah.
And I was like, my career's over in the art world. And like my mom has like a very special way of like offending me sometimes. And she has good intentions, but she still offends me. Where like, I guess it'd be the equivalent of like Boots, you know, in England. But like, my mom's like, well, maybe you can get a job at like the Walgreens makeup counter and like use your creative practice there. And I was like, that's me. That's ice cold, Mom. So I really thought my career was over. So I thought there's no point in censoring myself anymore. Like, why can't, like, it wasn't, I had no vendetta against anyone. I was just like, well, now when you take like one step outside of it, hold on, my phone is spam. When you take one step outside of it, you're like, oh, this is obscene. This is absurd. And somehow I was normalizing this world I was living in and this behavior and these people. And I drank the Kool-Aid so much that I really got sucked into it. I believed it, or I believed it enough. And then I just started pulling back. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's actually like it's funny. Like I tell people all the time, the art world writes itself. Like I'm just like, I have this thing on my phone called words and phrases. And it is a list that has been running for 8 years. And it's like, I hear something funny and I just like write it down and I keep it in the bank. And when I need to pull it out, or if I need to express myself in a certain way, I'll just like open it. Let's see, what's the last thing I wrote in words and phrases. But what? Yeah, there was no vendetta. There was no like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm gonna.
But what enabled you to like see it for what it is? So I was saying to Layla literally yesterday, a friend of mine posted something on Instagram, and don't know how to say this, but like there's a template of what you're supposed to be as an art dealer, and it's pretty obvious what that template looks like.
Yeah.
And it dictates people's entire personalities.
I know.
And it's unbelievable and tragic. How does it happen, and how did you like break out of that and see it for what it is?
Well, like I mean, I can't say that I was like particularly like the most successful art dealer. Like I mean, right. I was doing okay. We were breaking even, but I wasn't like I made $0 in 2 years for myself. It all just went back to the gallery. But I made a joke about this like forever ago, which is like, you know who Hulk Hogan is? Like this like wrestler from the 80s and 90s, and he'd wear like the spandex underwear and like the big gold glasses, and like wear like lays of flowers, and like he was like really like over the top, and he'd like go on like WCW or WFF or whatever. He'd be like, I'm gonna fucking kick your ass. Like every time he would talk about it as if it was like something new, even though you knew it was like 100% choreographed. And I think I made this joke, it was so long ago, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was basically like every like young new art dealer's like first article on ArtNet, you know, where like they've got their arms crossed and like we're gonna be different. Somehow we're gonna break out of the mold with my dad's money. With my dad's money, we are going to break the class barrier structure that is unfair in the art world. And we're going to return it to the artists. And like the minute that shit hits the fan and it has to be a real business, they start robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then they all become the same. Like that's the truth of the matter is that the it's not a good business. It's not a good business model. There's not enough. There's oversupply, under demand. If there were like 1/1000th of the galleries that there are in the world, maybe it would be an okay business. But there's too much. It's your overhead is too high. Your return on time investment, roti, not just a delicious Indian food, but an actual business mathematical equation. Like it does not work. Like it is not a good business. And
it never will,
people,
because if demand increases, then supply will increase so much more because everyone wants to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, we're also maybe facing something that'll be interesting, which is the valuelessness of art. Because as AI continues to be better and better, you know, some people, the optimistic ones, are like, no, the gesture of the human hand and the aura like will sort of increase the value of IRL art. But the only person that would ever say that is somebody who has so much wealth and affluence and time to navel gaze that they would ever dare to utter those words. Whereas most people are like, I need to put something on that blank wall, and I can generate something for free using AI and then send it off to Printify, and in a week get an original artwork that I made myself of exactly what I want. But that's nothing to do
with the art world, though.
I agree. I don't think that's the art. I think that's decoration. I agree with Jamie on that one. Yeah, because the art world has a different pull, I think. The art world is not necessarily about buying art, but it's also being part of this tribe that people try to be part of, right? Like,
well, that's like that's the money cult side. There's the money cult side, but the thing is, and this is the thing that I actually like to purposely not distinguish, so maybe I should have clarified that, is I think it is wrong and classist to dismiss other people and their perceptions of what art is, and whether something cost $80,000 or, you know, somebody picked it up, you know, Anna Wyant, Larry Gagosian's most recent 23-year-old girlfriend, was selling like sand drawings on the beach in the Hamptons or something. And I think Ellie Rhines like found her work and was like, oh, that would be cool to show in New York. And like a star was born. So like, I don't like to, I think that like the art world, yes, that's a place. That's a money cult. It has
not just money cult.
Very,
I
very
mean,
little.
I don't have much money, but I wanted to be part of the art world, and I'm not wealthy, but I just like the people. So I think there's like different tiers in the art world. There's like the curators, there's the dealers, there's the buyers, and you know, you find your little tribe within the larger tribe. But I really just like to be.
But collecting's also fun, and like some things are. If something becomes coveted by certain people, sure, there's something kind of often a bit artificial about it, but it's still fun to. Yeah, I guess it just becomes more than decoration.
Okay, I would dare anyone. I mean, you could put my head in the guillotine right now, and you go out in the world, you show somebody a picture, Architectural Digest, of a very beautiful room with an unknown artist's work hanging on the wall with the right decoration and the right lighting and the right angle, versus it being a Rashid Johnson.
Yeah.
And like, you can't tell me that's not decoration.
Yeah, no, it is. No.
Repetitive thing ever.
Yeah, no, I actually don't dispute that. I think we're just talking right now about like whether we're talking about that the aspect of the art world via you're right. Once it's on your wall, and it becomes decoration. I couldn't agree more with you. I really couldn't. But I think in this instance, it's more about. I think the art world's strength is not in the art that it offers, right? Like you were saying, it could be Rashid Johnson. It could be an unknown person from, I don't know, the Hamptons selling works on the sidewalk. But what makes the artwork powerful is the kind of energy that it sells, or the feeling of exclusivity, or being slightly different and better than everyone else. I think that's kind of the air that it gives off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about oh my God, this is the best art in the world and we can't live without it. Absolutely not. We all see so much nonsense and can't justify it. And we've all been in the industry. I've been in it for 25 years now. And, I really see garbage, and it shocks me still to this day. I can't, no part of my brain can process why this artist has done well. It has happened. But I think what it does do well is exactly, is that performance aspect of it. And I guess that's also the part that you play with in your work, right? Because you're exposing that, this is all just a facade, and everything is sort of happening behind closed doors. And that's becoming more and more difficult because, yes, you were the very first person, at least that I can think of, who was exposing that. But I see it now in my Instagram feed, more and more people saying, oh, the art should be for everyone. And there's a lot of that sort of, or I see a lot of really big galleries, I can't remember who I'm thinking of right now, but maybe not Gagosian, but David Cerner. I don't know. There's a curator coming to talk to the public. When has that ever happened? Because the art world that I grew up in, you were ignored, and you somehow enjoyed being ignored, a sort of sadomasochistic relationship that you have with the art world. I'm just not good enough for them to look at me and say hello. And now you've got them, being on Instagram and saying, hi, my name is, Jennifer, and you're looking at a new work by. That is so different to the art world that I'm used to, and it's becoming a little, it's trying to be more inclusive, probably because the market is suffering. I have no idea, but I would love to hear from you, how do you think social media has changed the art world? Has it changed it at all? And and is it becoming more inclusive as a result of it?
I don't know. Somebody sent me something today. I think I might spend the $100 just because I'm so curious. It was this woman. It's a video. It's a reel. And it's this woman. And these are her words, not mine. She's like, hi, I'm Marjorie. She's like, I'm an overweight, middle-aged, boring mother of 4. She's like,
I like her already.
Yeah. She's like, but 2 months out of the year, she's like, I make and sell art. And last year, in 2 months, I made $100,000, and I've made a course, not because I know how to make good art, but because I know how to market myself, and I want to teach you how to market yourself. So I think that the people who have become better at marketing themselves are gonna do well. They can sell anything. There's I say we because I used to be in a relationship, and I still have we mentality. We have this joke, but my former partner and I, we used to have this joke where we would say, there was always this alternative art world where you see these people crushing it, like Alec Monopoly, right? Do you know who that is? He paints the Monopoly man with a McDonald's sign and fake Banksy stuff. And or we found this one girl, we were obsessed with her for a while. She literally turned herself into an anime character, and then she would sculpt IRL NFTs, Bored Apes, but huge bajangas and huge she looked like a queen ant, and then long pink hair below her bum, and she's there with her legs spread wrapped around the sculpture, and this girl is crushing it. She has 3 million followers. I have 150,000 followers. You know what I mean? So there's this whole other world of people who they don't give a fuck about curators, not, excuse my language, they don't care about the art world. They don't care if they're not invited to the party, because they've made their own party, and they're the main character of their own movie, and they're doing just fine. And I'm really happy for those people, whether I like their art or not. And then the traditional art world, we're Luddites, we're conservatives, very slow to adopt. I think that the art world as a whole, the one that we're talking about, the culty one, they have the biggest allergy to cringe. Before cringe was cringe, the art world has had that. And like, God forbid you show weakness on the internet, or like you show humanity, or like, I remember when some galleries were like, we're not putting our like artists' artwork on the online like that. Like, no way.
I
Like,
remember that too. Yeah.
And
Or
now
expose
people
the
are like,
prices. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I think anybody who's a good marketer is gonna do well. Like, I saw the funniest, fuck, they're gonna hate me. I love you, Art Basel. I just want to say that if you're listening,
But
Art Basel, I love
but
you. But well, it was UBS too, so I blame
no, it's
the
UBS.
bank.
Go on.
UBS is like the Swiss bank that like backs Art Basel because you know, it's all about the art.
No, the patrons.
Not all about the money. No, so they made this hilarious like commercial the other day. Oh, okay,
Art
whatever.
Basel
You
did?
know what? It's fine. You know what?
No, come
I'm
on,
not
you
gonna
are really
get
so
into-
close.
Yeah,
Art
I'm not
Basel
gonna
did a
get-
commercial?
They did a commercial with UBS, right? And they get all these like heavy hitters who've been around forever, like praise her, Amy Capolazzo. I love her so much. I really do put her on a pedestal. She's the LeBron James. There's nobody better that sells art than her. Like, she is the best person in the world to sell art. Like, she's amazing. But they like run through, and I know like all the people that are in the commercial, like personally, you know. And then the last one is my friend, this guy Jeff Magid, who I think is like, he's a sweet, goofy guy. He's an art collector. He started as a poker player, and he basically
We've spoken with Jeff on this pod.
Okay. So like Jeff comes on at the end of like this whole commercial. It's got like the cheesy like art world kind of exciting classical music in the background, you know, to really get everyone amped up. And then he's like, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't be a part of the art world. And I was like, Jeff, no, did you just make a commercial with a Swiss bank and Art Basel about like, and don't let them tell you? Are you fucking kidding me? You know how much money you have to have with UBS in order to be able to go into the UBS lounge, which is a VIP lounge inside of a VIP lounge at Art Basel? Like, and don't let them tell you you can't be a part of it. You have to have like a net worth of like over $20 million or something. Like, it's hilarious. Sorry, Jeff. Like, I love you, and I actually think he's been doing a good job on social media lately. But
his videos
it
are
really
great.
made me cringe a lot. Like, ugh. Anyway.
So does that mean?
I mean, do you
go
think
on.
it should be aspired? Like, should people aspire to be in the art world, or is that just totally ridiculous? I think that's totally ridiculous, but
well, like, I've heard this argument a lot, which I think is a funny one, because people are like, okay, Hilde, you know, you're very critical of the art world, but like, I mean, at least they're not like spending their time like, you know, collecting like AK-47s. And I'm like, okay, but do you know how many arms dealers are active participants in the art world, or like sons of warlords and like people who like profited off of World War II and are still alive, and like just the types of people who are attracted to this leisurely you know, privilege that people, you know, whatever, participate in. I'm like, it's not like we're hanging out with like Mr. Rogers, like I don't know if you know Mr. Rogers is, like, or Sesame Street. Like, these are not warm, cuddly characters. Like, we're talking about people who are buying up the water supply on Earth, which I did meet that person recently. Or I met another person recently whose family owns like,
he's cornering the market for water.
All of the like sugar production in Africa, but then he was giving me a lecture about recycling, and I'm like, excuse me, sir? Like, what? Like, who are you? So I mean, it's very funny. Like, should people participate in it? I mean, I guess it gives us something to do.
I mean,
but
it's not quite like that, though, is it? It's not like you like consciously want to participate. You just get lured into it for one reason or another. I mean, that's what happened to me.
Why did you
anyway.
get lured into it?
Well, I grew up in Iran, and for me, art was like the only way of saying things that were wrong without getting into trouble. So I just really like the type of people. Like, there was so much censorship, and it was the only place, art was the only space where you could say freely what you wanted in a submersive manner. And I think, and it just this really pulled me in. But now I'm in NFT, so.
What about Jamie? Jamie, why did you get into art?
I loved it at school. I spent all my time just painting, and wanted to be a painter, but then found out I quite enjoyed. What do you, Layla?
Sorry. No. It's just as no. Go on.
But then started selling stuff, and then started selling friends paintings, and just started dealing, and just that was that.
So you're a salesman at heart.
No, I don't think so.
I think you're a builder. Jamie is the founder of Verse,
which probably doesn't mean anything.
No, hey, I'm a little more educated than you may think. I introduced Zachary Small's token supremacy, okay, in New York City. So I actually know a lot about NFTs. But
actually, be fun to segue into it. Actually, go on. Yeah.
Oh, that was a crazy. That was like the weirdest. We can probably all say that was maybe one of the weirdest moments of life, period, for anyone. What happened? We were in lockdown, for COVID. It was like the wokest of the woke moment. Like, if you turned your head left or right too fast, like, you're canceled. So like all of a sudden, like, everybody is like splintering off and fractioning off, and all of a sudden there's like far right, far left, like people are swinging in like so many different directions. There's Clubhouse where people are just like getting into knockdown, drag out fights. People are starting to get on message boards, and I was living in San Francisco when Bitcoin kind of first came on the scene.
Did you buy any, Jerry? I say Jerry, Hilde. Me too.
My friend spent $3,000 on Bitcoin when it first came out, and when he cashed out, I think he cashed out for like $500,000, and he spent $3,000, and he just forgot about it. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I should check on that like little $3,000 investment I made one day," and like he'd made all this money. But anyways, NFTs, like, here's this brave new world that we were all hoping to face together, hand in hand, singing Kumbaya. And what I thought was so interesting about the NFT scene and world, no offense, is
actually be really offensive. We like it when people are super honest.
Be as rude as
like,
you can
go
be.
all in, please. Yeah.
It's like the NFT world recreated all of the worst parts of the art world, minus like any of the like fun in-person interactions or like real sex or real drugs or real whatever that you would get in another experience. Everything was just like online. I mean, it was the same way as like, I remember the people I knew that were collecting NFTs were also the same people and minting NFTs. They were also like buying and selling derivatives, like tiny little fractional derivatives of like Bitcoin. Like, I mean, it was, for all intents and purposes, they might as well have just been like trading like at a frenetic pace. And the way that, a work would get like built up. I can't even remember what it was called now. Actually, I'm going to sound dumb because I'm like, I know all about Bitcoin, or I know all about NFTs, but like, what was it called? Where like, there's basically a plan for the artwork, right? Like, there's an architecture. It's like,
roadmap. You're
going to buy a roadmap. Yeah, I'm going to buy this, and then at some point it's going to, it's going to hit a certain KPI. We'll use some business school terms, and then it flips on this switch, and then suddenly like the roadmap becomes an IRL in concert experience, and like, you know, like just all of these like very false promises for this like ridiculous thing. And I think there was just a lot of money in the market still. The feds hadn't pulled back yet. People were bored. There wasn't very much going on, and then the Beeple thing happened. And I think that the Beeple thing,
That was it.
that was like
That was such a
craziest.
signifier.
And so my former fiance, he worked at Christie's at the time, so he was very much privy to the behind the scenes of what was going on there. And it was actually an intern that knew about what a young woman, a young girl, a lot of people don't know this, that was like paying attention to like the Beeple verse, and, you know, showed it to like somebody who was one level up. And this guy was a good salesman and took it to like the senior people, and they're like, let's turn this into something. And because it was COVID, and because the collectibles market was what it was at the time, and there was so much money in the market, and there was this great white hope of Bitcoin and NFTs, right? Like, I think that people were like, yeah, let's do it. And then you find out, like, it's just like selling IRL art too, right? Like, you got to go find your whale, right? Like, you've got to go out and you've got to find your person who actually can afford it, and you've got to get them on the hook, and you've got to get them excited. You've got to show them why it's going to be worth exponentially more if they buy now, and like get, you know, and maybe get a little bit of a bidding war going on. And I mean, I just remember seeing this happen, and I remember like being very critical of it, not because I don't believe in it. Like, I have had the Winklevoss twins try to convince me of NFTs. Like, I read Zachary Small's book. Like, I've been in every single clubhouse. I've listened ad nauseum about NFTs, and I just, in my heart of hearts, like, it's okay. We're allowed to have boundaries as human beings and as artists, and I just draw the boundary there. And I'm a conceptual
But what
artist.
do you not believe in? What do you not believe in?
Like, I just don't believe, like, to me, it's no better than a screensaver, a JPEG. Then it's not.
But why does? But what? Sorry.
There's a physicalness to art that elicits emotion and feeling and awe and inspiration for me, and it's visceral, and it's very human. And when I just look at something on my phone, even if it's an exhibition, I'm not like, oh, I'm so touched by that.
But there's not a physicalness to your art though. But if you gave me the opportunity to own one of your videos, that'd be cool. That'd be interesting to me. Like, that would feel like I'm able to kind of own a bit of your world and what you do. And
yeah, maybe
that idea to me as a collector is kind of exciting and interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I also illustrated for Spike magazine like a whole glossary on NFTs. Like, I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and maybe it's just because I haven't thought about it much lately. But where I'm just like, in Web3 and sort of what, like, just a lot of the ideas that like sounded good on paper,
yeah,
or even in conversation and argument, but in practice, like, are really bad ideas. Like, because there's not, I mean, it's already risky enough with art, which is not a securitized asset because it doesn't function on a regulated market. Like, you're already running a pretty big risk, but at least you can sort of bet on, like, if it's sold to the right people and it's preserved for X amount of time, and there's a certain narrative and a mythology that's built around it, at some point everyone's going to try to go and see the Mona Lisa once in their life, right? Like it's a thing. Whereas like if it's just something that I can just see a screenshot of on my phone, and I have no ownership stake in it whatsoever, unless I'm into some fractionalized ownership project or something like that, or what do they call those things, DAOs, which are also terrible in practice, because like what if the one person who's in charge of it dies, or like what if people can't decide on what to do? I mean,
DAOs aren't really DAOs never really became a thing,
right? But I mean, a lot of these things, in my opinion, are like, they sounded cool because they sounded utopian.
But most of it was noise. Most of it was flawed. Most of it was hot air and rubbish. But if you were to mint one of your videos, i.e. one of your artworks, and gave me the opportunity to own it, I honestly, I wouldn't try and sell it on. Like, I'd be like, this is cool. Like, I think that Hilde represents kind of something interesting happening in culture, and I would feel a sense of like pride in owning your artwork. Why?
You're probably the only person that's ever said that.
No.
There are. I can guarantee you, like a lot of people listening to this will feel the same.
Even though I just said I don't believe in it fundamentally. Maybe like okay,
but why? But what's it? But why? But if someone, if your videos are artworks, and they are, why should someone not be able to own them?
But I also think,
and why would you not want someone to own them?
So the idea of somebody owning, like, I have thought a lot, because there was a time not that long ago when I was going to end Jerry Gogosian, because it, for all the good it's brought in my life, it's also been a scourge on my life and like hurt me in many ways. I was going to shut it down. And then I was thinking, you know, it would be interesting for either a private buyer or a buyer that would then donate it to a museum as sort of like a capsule, like archive of this like origination, or this project would be sort of a cool thing to do. The thought has crossed my mind, but you know, recently, you know, remember everybody was making fun of Elon Musk not that long ago because he was like on stage, probably on ketamine, with Donald Trump, and he's like, "I am meme" or something. Like he just said like, "I am meme," and I think about that all the time. And as much as maybe that was like cringy of him to say, he was like 100% right. Like, we are all now the meme. So there's so like what I do, and this is not me being self-deprecating, but like what I do in a sort of traditional Jerry Gogosian way is not interesting anymore. It's actually banal. It's like your 12-year-old neighbor is probably making a higher quality, better edited, more coordinated, more viral video than I'm making. Like, what I'm doing isn't really, I'm just adding to this like cacophonous noise at this phase. Like it's not even interesting anymore. And
well, it's interesting for the fact that you kind of started some kind of movement, but
that's kind of like, I think that's a whole other conversation about where you see your art and how you see that being presented. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, right? Because I agree with Jamie. To me, you are representing, you know, something very particular in a very particular part of culture as well. And I would definitely want to have part ownership of that. I would want to have ownership of that and put that into my collection. But I think when I hear you speak about NFTs, I feel like it's something that I hear a lot of people say about NFTs in general, that they kind of can't get their head around the experience of them. Like, why? It's in my phone. I don't have the same experience as I would have when I bring the piece home, or if I see it in an exhibition or an installation. And I think it goes kind of back to what we were saying earlier. The art world isn't about the art. It's about the kind of energy and network of people that it brings. And in this instance, like, collecting your work will bring a network, and that network connects me to a person like Jamie or other, like-minded collectors. And that is really the art world. That's the art world in a different way. The only thing that's missing is you're not storing things in your home. And that's why I see those two so different, because I love physical art. I love paintings. I love sculpture. I still go very regularly to exhibitions, because the joy out of seeing works in real life, I do not. It's a completely different joy that I get, and it doesn't mean one is better than the other. But I think it's just sort of switching your mind about what it is that you get out of it. And yes, it is a digital asset, and yes, it is more liquid. But also, that is not the only thing. I think for me, at least, I don't collect to sell on later. Like, honestly, not at all. I collect because I really enjoy the scene, and it's becoming part of a new art world that I'm part of and that I hope to build on. So I feel very passionate about it on a personal level. But I think I wonder how we can bring that message to more people, because it is still quite small, our art world, and it's very new. And you're right, there's a lot of wrong things, and oh my god, the cringe associated with our industry is awful. Like, I have a lot of former colleagues, they still, when I want to say NFTs, I skirt around the name so much, because I know they'll be like, yikes, go away. It's sort of, nobody wants to be associated with it.
But I think it frustrates, like, I find the art world's take of NFTs frustrating, because I think someone like yourself is one of, like, you're a really, really interesting artist, and you're affecting culture in a way that almost every painter in the art world isn't. And it's artists like you that people like me actually do want to collect, because you're shaping where culture goes. That's really exciting. Like, I just want a bit of that. And so, like, for interesting digital artworks and artists, I think it's a kind of, it's cool as a collector, just being able to say, yeah, like, the world is moving so quickly. This is a fascinating moment in time, and I was able to acquire and just, like, take ownership in this, like, thing that is steering culture in an interesting direction.
It's funny. I just have to say, like, not to interrupt you. Remember, like, before, I don't know if we were recording yet, and we were like, let's see how we can make Jamie really uncomfortable, like, in this podcast. And you're, like, talking to me right now, and I'm like, okay, no one has ever, like, I'm not joking. I'm viewed as, like, I'm like, if the art world were like the UN or something, like, I am some shitty country that, like, got snuck under, like, the radar of, like, some misassociation somewhere when the world got broken up and divided, and, like, they really are looking for a reason to kick me out. And, like, I have just enough people that, like, love me that I'm not given the boot, but, like, I'm hanging by a thread. So, like, when you're saying, like, you think I'm interesting and you want to collect, I'm like you're the one who's brave enough to be honest and, like, put interesting stuff out there. Everyone else is just conforming to what they think these rich art buyers want. Like, you're doing interesting stuff. Well, and if you were to say to someone like me, like, I want to, like, you can collect my stuff, like, absolutely, like, instantly, without even thinking about it. All right, well, I'm gonna have to pray about that one, Jamie. But
put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, but
get your wallet out.
I'm like, I don't.
I will though, Layla.
Let me see the wire. Let me see the wire transfer. Let me see the wire transfer.
No, it's got to be an NFT. Don't push it now. It's got to be on chain.
I remember my dad trolling me. My dad is the original troll of the family, and there was an article that came out. This is a long time ago, actually. I think it came out in, like, 2008, like, early, like, what, Facebook, like, MySpace, Facebook, no Instagram yet. Instagram's 2011. And it was this Economist article, and it said, like, in the future, the only endeavor worthwhile will be making art, because everything else will be like automated for us. And he sent me a really snarky, like, boomer email where he goes, well, I guess your art degree might be worth something. I was like, all right, Dad, that's not very nice. No, it's like, I thank you. I appreciate the compliment. The money is addictive. Let's just put it to you like that. Like, I know people, I knew the people before they were in the mafia versus after they're in the mafia. And the minute that you're sort of, it's like being any kind of star in any other kind of industry. It's like you learn pretty quick, you know, and they get you, like they invite you to the freak off and they get it on film. You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as you touch that baby oil lube, like you're in the club, like you're not getting out, like everybody knows, you know? And like, I have friends who are like dear friends. Like, I'm saying I've known them since I started working in the art world 12 years ago. And the cone of silence just like goes up as soon as like, I'm not even going to say it because I respect this person and I want to keep them as a friend. But like, this person the other day was like, yeah, you know, like I was somewhere and I was drunk with Leonardo DiCaprio. We're drinking this like $80,000 bottle of whiskey. And then he starts telling me that like he has a warehouse somewhere where he collects fossils. So like in the middle of the night, we like summon his private jet and we go and like check out his like fossil collection and we're drunk. Like, and I'm just like, again, like this behavior that we like normalize in the art world where I'm like, do you hear yourself? And then like, I know this person comes from incredibly humble means. Not that you have to be like humble for forever. I'm also not for that, but like he kind of comes from like a reality checked, like grounded place. And I think that it's so addictive, that place. And I think Leila, you were talking about like, it's that classic Groucho Marx joke, like you always want to be a member of any club that will not have you as a member. And there's something so excellent that the art world does about that. And even now, even me today, 8 years in, yes, I'm the shitty dumpster fire country that they want to kick out of the art world UN. But even so, I'll go get you my UN badge. Like, I'm in the UN. But like, I still wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're not a fucking artist. You're a fraud. You just go to Pilates and you do therapy with your therapist where you're trying to convince your therapist that conceptual art is real because you're not even sure you believe it anymore. You know, like,
are you saying that you shouldn't sell your work? Like, what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying that the
barrier is too high.
What is it called? The fraud complex that comes with it is so real. And then the only thing that you can
just put it out there for $5. It can just be fun. It doesn't need to be serious. Like, just post every video and let someone buy it for $10.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But I'm in the UN, so I have to take myself very seriously, even if there's a civil war going on. You know? I'm just kidding. But it's just a thing. It's just it's a very complicated universe. Like, I try to tell normal people about this world and the many layers of it. And then like, I love when people are like, what do you do for a living? I got into a fight with a guy the other day at this like Russian nightclub because I was like, there's no way this guy's going to understand. Like,
sorry, is this a nightclub in Russia or
No, I was at this place called Kiska in Miami. It's like a real, like, you know, I used to live in Russia, so sometimes I like to party with the Russians, drink some vodka shots, and I knew this guy like would never understand like what I did. So he's like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm an influencer." Like, I just like said that, and he was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And he started laughing in my face, and he goes, "Ой, что are you a model? Like he says to me, and then he starts laughing in my face. And I'm like, well, I mean, kind of like I'll shoot campaigns for things sometimes. And like, I'm turning purple. My friends around me are like so embarrassed, but and then I got into an argument with him. But the funny part of the whole thing was like, you can go so far into it and still have like a fraud complex about it, where because I have never been validated, and I think Beeple illustrated this perfectly. As soon as he sold his work at Christie's, he started being courted by Pace. And Pace was like, had a plan to show Beeple, but they were like, first, he needs to be shown by like a mid-tier gallery. So they had this plan. Like, I think he was going to go to Jack Shainman, and then he was going to go to Pace. Like, Beeple, come on, dude. You just made $69 million. Go fuck off with that $69 million forever. Like, I would do that.
But do you think you still need validation? Like, it's a different world. Like you said, like you can just, like that mom with 4 kids made $100,000 in a month. Do you really need validation? Like, isn't that your validation? Like, I can survive, I can support my family.
I go to therapy twice a week. I might be the wrong person to ask, you know, like clearly it's something I haven't worked through, because I have 3,800 jokes about how I still don't understand it. You know, like I think people do need validation. I think so. From the
I'm sorry though. Can I keep pushing back on the I don't believe in NFTs, because I just really want to challenge it. You make artworks. If you were to sell them, how would you do it? You'd give someone a hard drive? What would you do?
She wouldn't sell it. She talks to a therapist about it.
I talked to my therapist about it. No, I'm just kidding. And I have a professional coach too. Well, so there's a big argument about this within the Jerryverse, right? Which is, okay, full transparency. Again, you can play some slow classical music starting now.
Last time I laughed. This time I'm not going to laugh, because it was actually tragic. Go on.
I had a mental breakdown 1 year ago, like a full-blown 100% real mental breakdown. Lost my engagement to my fiance, shut Jerry down, had to go to like emotional rehab, all because of this Instagram account, right? Because I was like, okay, you can only be the enfant terrible for like 7 years, 7 years. And then at a certain point, you need to evolve. And so then I maybe made a mistake. Who knows, you know, God's plan, not mine. But I brought in all these different consultants and analysts, and, you know, began the great project of creating what would be like Jerry 2.0. And in the process of that, it was like, I felt like a plucked chicken. Like, I just felt like everything that was great about me and that people genuinely liked about me got wiped away, because basically I was being advised on how to make a product that was me, that would be the highly sellable like asset, right? And I mean, I had a stylist, I was being media trained, I had, you know, a brand book, I had a fashion deck. I mean, I had like all these things, like it was truly this like huge endeavor. It took untold months, crazy amounts of work, 16 hours a day. Like anytime I wasn't traveling for the art world, I was working on this thing. Like it was so fucking mentally exhausting and taxing, trying to figure out like what to do with this thing next, that in one 24-hour period, I got enough bad news. Like somebody told me that I had a perception problem because I was considered dangerous. Then somebody told me I had a perception problem because...
You had a perception problem?
Why are you dangerous?
That I'm perceived as dangerous. Then somebody else told me, oh, you have a perception problem, different person, because
like a reputation problem.
That you're a an overachieving try hard. I'm like, in what other industry is that used as a slam besides the art world? And then I was told, oh, every time you show your face, the algorithm like significantly like redirects back to your other content, aka like the internet doesn't like your face. Like I just got so much, and I was under like immense financial pressure to grow this business or whatever, and I went through a day of like 6 meetings, and by the end of like the 6th meeting that day, I shut my computer. I told every single person that was in that room that we were disbanding the company that moment, and I attempted suicide the next day. So like when I tell you, it really fucking wrecked my life. Like
I'm so sorry.
Wrecked my life. So I'm coming back from that. So the violins they're playing right now. Like when I try to think about what do I do with this thing that I created, that for me at this point, the stakes are high, because the stakes are that on some level I have kind of lost, like I've had to completely restart my life completely. Like I live 5 minutes from my parents' house. Like I go to therapy twice a week. Like I'm trying to reinvent myself in like the lightest touch way while still being myself, being authentic, being honest, being real about the situation. I think people who are successful and just act like it's easy and that you don't pay for it in one way or another, like I just think that that's a myth that doesn't exist. I think being successful is very hard, and you will pay with it one way or another, whether it's with your relationships, your time, your health, your whatever. Like it can be hard, and especially when you're the dumpster fire UN nation that like they can't decide if they want to keep me or throw me away. So I have like this thing where I question myself, like, do I belong here? Like, so when you say, oh, I think you're interesting, like I would consider collecting or buying something that you make. Like I blush, but I almost get emotional about it, because I'm like, literally no one has ever said that to me, because the way that it's the proposition has always been that I am the brand, right? And that I make these things and that I'm the artist. And it's very complicated, because people will put me on stage like they did last Art Basel. Little did they know I'd gotten out of rehab the day before to be on stage with Jerry Saltz. And there's like I felt very out of touch curator who's like pounding me on the question of whether or not what I was doing was a performance. And when I said, no, what I'm doing is not a performance, everyone starts laughing. And I'm like, but it's not. And then everyone starts laughing harder. And I'm like, no, but I'm being serious. And at this point, like everyone in the room is hysterical. And I'm like, no one's listening to me. Like, this isn't a performance. This is like, there's something else going on here. And you might just be listening to the ramblings of a crazy person. Like that could be it too. I don't know, but I'm very touched when somebody, Jamie, the most handsome podcast interviewer I've ever
Don't give him too many compliments. Honestly, it creates problems. Don't do it.
No,
it gets to his head. It really does get to his head.
It's the way the headphones sit on that head, though. That just,
is it that's doing it for you? Yeah, it's the first time he's done that.
Yeah, no, but I get like kind of touched by it, because I'm like, wow, like really, you think like somebody would want to like. I've been told like every bit of criticism that you can get. Like I wake up in the morning. I'm sure you guys know what this is like to a certain extent. I wake up in the morning and people are like, "Fuck you, you ugly bitch," and I'm just like, "Good morning to you. Good morning," or like,
yeah.
People will take the time. To,
your artwork is like critiquing, commenting on, and shaping the art world, and you are.
Well, this is why you also.
How is that not interesting?
But that's why you get hate, because you're doing a good job if you get that much hate. I mean, I think in a way you need to take it as your highest form of compliment, because you're triggering a nerve for people that what you're saying is affecting them, and it makes them so angry that they write the most nasty things. Sometimes the comments people write, I just think, wow, like the amount of thinking that went into trying to offend this person to this degree, like that's sick. That's just not even.
Do you want to hear the best put down that somebody used on me the other day? And I was like, fuck, I wish I thought of this, because it's like so mean.
What's that?
It's really good though. It's like good. Like, I give this person props. They're blocked now. I don't know who they are, but they said, it's so crazy because watching your content over the years is like watching a reverse Ozempic commercial.
People are disgusting, honestly.
I was like, that is so smart. Why didn't I think of that?
Very timely comment as well. Oh my God, it's so stupid. No, but it's also bullshit. Obviously, it's complete nonsense. But this is what I'm saying. They say things that are completely unreal, completely untrue, completely nonsense. But they're just trying to be really as offensive as possible. It's not even being about like saying something that makes sense. It's just about trying to hurt someone's feelings, and you know you're doing something right if you're taking time out of that person's life to want to give a comment like that it means that you're doing something good. So every bad comment, Hilde, is a compliment.
I I can't wait to be at Beyonce level, like where like no, like, I don't read the comments, but part of the joy and privilege, for all of your poor listeners who have not heard of me until today, the very fun thing about my or the unique thing I would say about my Instagram account is it's kind of like where Reddit meets Instagram in terms of a conversation about art. And so you get like these really interesting, meaty, thought-provoking comments, I think. Like but then I'm obligated to read all the compliments. So it's like something really intellectually juicy, and then it's like, fuck you, you're fat. And then it's like something really meaty and juicy again. It's like I have to read the comments. People are like, oh, just don't pay attention to it. My mom will like, I'll like drive over to my parents' house and I'll be like, look at this fucking comment, and my mom is like, just stop reading those. And I'm like, I have to, Mom. Like, that is like the point. And sometimes I say mean things back, which I've gone through phases of Mother Teresa dumb, and then I've gone through phases where I'm like, no, I'm gonna talk trash about you. Like somebody the other day was like, that joke that you just told could have been funnier. And so I went on their Instagram page and I commented, that artwork right there could have been better. And it's like, normally I try to not do that petty, but like sometimes it just like comes out because I'm human and because I can just take it all the time.
Yeah.
How have you are you doing better post that moment?
Yes, I'm doing better because I never believed in therapy before. I thought therapy was just this like self-indulgent like me show. That's what I used to like mock people that went to therapy. Like, oh really, you want to sit around and talk about yourself for an hour? Like, but now I've realized it's really useful. I am on an antidepressant. Thank God for exercise. I live close to my family. Like, it's all the most cliche things that make my life good today. Like, I have my 2 cats. Like, I mean, do I have my big house in Connecticut with my big fat diamond ring I used to have on my finger, with my gorgeous ex-fiance, and this like promise of a certain kind of life? No. Do I still wake up some days confused, like what happened and how did I let an Instagram account like destroy my life? Like actually I let an Instagram account destroy my life. That can still be shocking and painful and humiliating. I mean, I've cried. Talk about cringe. I've cried. I confessed to my followers, like, when I got out of rehab, I was like, I've been lying to you guys. I wasn't on a digital detox. I was like, I tried to commit suicide. And I don't know what I'm going to do, you know? And it was a very like hard, it was a very, very, very hard year. It's actually like a year ago this month that you're meeting like a person who has like, I have that much distance between myself and that time. Um, I mean, you know, maybe when I'm old, I'll be like, you know, I'll be able to put my grandcats on my lap and tell them about, you know, the hard days and how it made grandma who she is today. But like, as of right now, I don't know if I have enough distance to be like, oh, it's fully worth it. Like, it's so worth it for 150,000 followers of people in the art world who ostensibly hate me, according to most of the comments that I get in my inbox. Like,
you've done
is it
something
worth
really
it?
interesting.
I don't know.
You've done something really interesting. Most people don't.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment, Jamie. Jamie with the good headphones.
Have you been thinking about Jerry 2.0?
So I don't know. I'm like, I wake up every day and I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm seeing, on top of seeing a psychologist twice a week, I'm also working with like a career coach, because it's so bad, it's so bleak in my mind, because I've run so many scenarios, you know, of what it could be, what it should be, what I could try to apply, that at the end of it, I am like, well, maybe I do need to like go back to getting a job at Hooters, or like maybe I do need to go back to like working at CVS at the makeup counter, you know, because sometimes I'm not exactly sure. I mean, there's some potential projects in the universe, like maybe TV type projects that could come into existence, but you know, that's a moonshot. It's almost happened 4 times and hasn't happened yet, so I don't get too overly excited about that anymore. I don't know, because everyone and their mother's an influencer now. I don't like, I if you have any good ideas, like seriously, like let me know. Like, a couple years ago, I would have had something really smart to say to you.
Well, I was just going to ask the same thing. Yeah, why would you not like bury yourself in your artworks, like in your art, like just in your practice, without the pressure of the financial? Because I think that's when it gets really tricky, because your expectations maybe of, you know, what if you just make and see what comes out of it, like detach yourself from the outcomes.
Well, a lot of I don't even know. See, so when I was born, like very early on, as soon as I could speak English in full sentences, I don't know where I got this idea, but I used to tell my Mom, I'm an actress. And she would say, no, you're an artist. And I've literally had this conflict in my brain for like my entire life, where I'm like, am I an actress who's playing the role as an artist? Mm-hmm. Or am I an artist who plays around with being an actress? And so I guess this does come down to the question of performance in a way that I feel more comfortable, and I don't like to be overly stuffy about this, but it is a big question for me, because I'm like, I'm not sure. Everything that I do hinges on the socialness of it all. Like, I've thrown 1,000-person dance parties. I created the Met Gala for the art world one year in New York City. I've actually made sculptures, not just for the sake of them existing, but because I wanted to have a very specific conversation in a specific country with a specific person, and the only way I could do it was by making this sculpture to grab this person's attention. Like, you know, there's like a socialness to everything that I do that, like, me hiding in South Florida, you know, down the street from my parents' house, this has been a great year of rest and relaxation, but like this is not the solution to whatever. The thing that has to happen next is I need to move back to society. Like I need to come back to the world in some way or another. And I'm scared.
It feels so obvious you're a narcissist. Like, I feel you're in such an incredible position. You're a really good artist. You're exceptionally smart, exceptionally creative, exceptionally courageous. You think outside the box. You do things that no one else can. You've got an audience and a name already. In the future, AI is going to automate everything. The only thing it won't be able to one of the very few things it won't be able to replace is going to be that name. Damien Hirst can continue to sell his things for loads of money because they're Damien Hirsts, and so even if you can reproduce it with a machine or whatever, it doesn't matter. But you are Jerry Gagosian. You've created what you've created. Everyone knows about it. You're so well placed to be an artist, and you're like extremely good at it.
Stop making me blush. Okay, now you have to say, but you look like the reverse of an Ozempic.
No, it's truth. Take it. Take
okay,
it,
thank
Hilde.
You. I appreciate the
Take
compliment.
it.
I just do it to keep the lights on and keep the Persian cats fed around here, and you know.
I've never seen one of those in not IRL, but I've never seen one outside a Bond movie.
Oh yes. Well, he's been here listening the whole time, like listening to mommy tell the sad stories. But no,
I'm sorry about the sad story. That's
yeah.
No, you know what? It's okay because it's the truth. Like,
yeah,
like it is the truth, and it doesn't matter, and everyone's gonna die anyway, and everyone's gonna have something sad happen in their lives. Like, you know, mine just happened to be like very closely linked to my art. And imagine this thing that you encounter very early on, and it takes over your entire life, and you experience success, love, pleasure. You meet some of the most important people in your life through this thing. You get to travel around the world. You get to meet all these wonderful other people, the good side of the art world that I haven't addressed enough. I've had so many great things happen because of, you know, creating this Instagram account. But I also had the flip side of this coin, and it just is the truth. And I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for me, or anything. If anything, like, I'm here to tell the story, and I'm like, I am a lot better than I was, you know, a year ago. A year ago, I was on like 12 medications. I was like zombified just to like get through the day, and now I'm only on 3 medications, and my doctor is slowly taking me off of them, and I'm coming back to being myself. You know, so it's a good thing.
I think it's so great that you share this so openly, Hilde, because I think it is very real. It does happen more often than we know. And yeah, thank you for sharing. And I'm glad to hear you're on the mend, and it feels like you've got a good support group around you. But yeah, I think you're right. It happens more often than we know. And we see this facade of people. I mean, it's such a cliche thing to say, where people seem so strong and, you know, they have it all together, but we're all human, you know, we all go through the same insecurities. And yeah, so I think it's great you're sharing it. Thank you for that. Okay, cool.
Before we discuss anything else, I don't know how long we've got, by the way, but can I just ask you a question, Hilde?
Yeah.
So these are digital artworks. They're GIFs. I'm just going to click into one of them. Spanish artist called Gozo. He makes these GIFs. they're interesting. Sorry?
Your sound is
Has it gone weird? Oh, hang on. Can you hear me?
Guys, I'm booking Art Basel right now, Jamie.
How do you, like, this guy is a genuine artist, real creative. His mind works in a fascinating way. How should Gozo sell his artworks? Or should he not sell his artworks? Oh, it's not loading.
For this series, I begin. Wait, I have to.
Oh, sorry. Let me find an interesting
on my
one.
memory in a recurrent way. The images that assault me are not memories, but apparitions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They return again and again. So his work, not aesthetically, but sort of intellectually, reminds me of this artist friend of mine named Sebren Versteeg. Do you know who that is? Sebren Versteeg?
No.
He was a friend of mine when I first moved to New York in like 2012. Obviously, this is way pre NFT, but he had created his own software, because he's a coder, that would essentially make paintings. Like these computers would make these paintings that genuinely, unless you were like super up close, they looked like real paintings. They acted like real paintings. As the computer program worked with them and through them, like, the whole reason I'm bringing up Sebren is because Sebren, he shows with Bitforms. You know Bitforms gallery?
Yes.
Okay. He shows with Steve, and I say this with love and respect, but I wouldn't say that Sebren has particularly had a successful commercial career, but he is that friend that very randomly, when he does pop up on my Instagram algorithm, it's like universities are exhibiting his work, because people understand there's a incredible merit to the work that goes beyond just creating like a screensaver, for a lack of a better term, you know, like I sort of dismissively called NFTs before. And so I think the more an artwork, like the more texture an artwork, a digital artwork can have, I think the more basis in reality it begins to etch out for itself. And so if I'm to take this person's words and believe them, that he has like these almost intrusive, obsessive thoughts that materialize in a visual way, and the only way that he can sort of extricate them from himself is to create them in this form, then, like, to me, that feels very valid, right? Like, that feels valid. Now, how somebody would sell that? In order for me, the collector here, this is the collector speaking, I have to really believe what that person wrote. And I have to get behind that, and I have to put my money where my mouth is. And I think that if a person wants to, you know, there's this very famous quote, Simone de Pury, where he says, like, art and money are inextricably tied to one another, because money brings value, and then value like cements its like basis in reality. And that's basically what he says. He says it in The Price of Everything. That you can get the original quote from there. And there is something so strange about money, currency, which is also not real, except that it is real, you know, where money becomes this validating form. So however that person, Gozo, however his collectors can get on board with believing what he's selling to be real, to be authentic, by whatever element of texture, of personality, of whatever that separates him from the machine. I think like then it's up to like, then it's a matter of, do you pay with your crypto wallet, or do you send a wire transfer? It really just depends on who's buying the work, right? And who buys into the work, who believes it. Because I don't want to speak about Gozo because I don't know Gozo, but I can think of a lot of digital artists where like I don't get behind what they do. But then I can think of some, like I interviewed this one kid during the pandemic. I wish I could remember his name. He was so fucking cool, this Chinese artist. And he wrote a large, he was working with large language models very, very early on. And he trained this one to become aware of itself and then to write a movie based on this entity's experience of itself on the internet. Like it was a really crazy, ambitious project. And I really, really loved it. And I was like, I buy into that. I buy into that as a concept. But so why don't you,
so I keep going back to you saying you don't believe in NFTs. So if you believe in that as a concept and it could potentially be interesting and worth owning, if your options are have it on a hard drive with a certificate or just have an actual proper record on the internet that proves you own it, why would you choose hard drive and certificate?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a good answer for that. I think what I mean to say is, like, for example, when the very early days, when the Winklevoss twins started this thing, I don't even know if it exists anymore, called like Nifty Gate or NFT Gate, yeah, whatever. I interviewed them. So funny. I was really out of my depth for that one. And I was trying to...
I actually said to Layla the other day we should try and get them on here.
Oh, I have their email. I can pass it on.
Ooh, cool.
But, you know, I was sitting there trying to have this like conversation with them. And again, this is what I mean. I was looking at the works that they had. And I think at the time they had just started. So they maybe had 3 NFTs on their page from 3, I'm going to say, quote unquote, artists. One's Michael Kagan. He's an artist. It was like an astronaut. One was this like Olympian, like this female athlete who just made like a GIF of herself, like running, you know what I mean? Like, and then it was something else. And when we were speaking to each other, it was like a person from Alabama trying to speak to somebody in like the Sichuan province of China. Like, we were completely missing each other because I was like trying to understand the utopic proposition that could be offered by working with art this way, but I was not understanding why they were immediately going for the ugliest parts first. And it was like I felt like they were mistreating this opportunity to rebuild a better art world. And I think that is where, when I say I don't believe in it, that's more what I mean.
Okay. Can I get your critique and thoughts then on how we can maybe do a better job? Because we're trying to show stuff that we think is interesting. So this is an artist who goes by Tiny Soul on the internet. He makes these funny GIFs. He didn't start off minting NFTs. He just started off making funny GIFs. And I mean, this one is kind of fun. and
Yeah, I mean,
they were just kind of, he was just posting them on Twitter, and they started just blowing up, and it felt like, you know, there's something memey here, and this is, you know, this represents a particular moment in time that people are kind of experiencing online, and they're fun and they're funny.
Don't they also kind of
and
remind you of that website, like I Can Has Cheeseburger? Do you remember that
I
website?
haven't seen that one.
It was just like, it
Um,
was like early day memes, like the cat. It was all cat stuff, and it was like this fake language that somebody invented that like every cat spoke in this one voice, and it was just like kind of these surreal images with like text. It was very
right.
early, like it was like we're talking like 2007. This
Yeah.
this kind of reads to me like that a little bit. But like, I, you know, okay, I could be wrong here, and maybe I'm being like, I don't want to be the person that like takes the truck, backs up, runs over the thing, then like puts it in drive and runs it over again and backs up.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think the reason that art has this long-term discourse and lineage that people will buy into, they will suspend so many layers of disbelief, is because they sort of spanned the gamut of everything from cave paintings to classical art to neoclassical art to modern art. Like, I mean, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Whereas some of this stuff, I think, feels hard to place, because Leela, I think that Layla or Leela, I'm so sorry, I should have asked you this earlier. Oh,
You're muted, Layla.
Layla, okay. Like, you know, in art school, I think this is like, it's propaganda, but it's decent propaganda. It's not the worst kind of propaganda, where like basically they reteach you the history of the world through images, through art. So you're like, oh, this was being made at this time because it was World War I, and this is why people were looking at the world this way, blah blah blah. Like, and you can see the world like going through all these things. You can place it. It's like there's a geography in your brain, and you can place it. And I think with the overstimulation of how many images we see and how quickly we see them, and how there's almost no context. This is what I was saying about your friend Gozo, the artist Gozo. Like, the more texture you can offer me, the more I can feel the humanity in the artwork, the more likely I am to like buy into it, whether it just be intellectually buy into it or financially buy into it.
But surely that's got nothing to do with like the validity of NFTs. That's just the quality of
No,
of
she's
the work and how you're
right. I
presenting
agree
it.
with her. No, the quality is part, like the quality is affected by all those things Hilde has just shared. The quality gets higher if I know that Kozo has been working on these pieces for a very long time, that he doesn't just, you know, have Sora make them, that there's a thought process in how he creates them, that he is influenced by Buto dancing, that he is influenced by Zen, you know, like all those other elements are aspects that make, for me, his work more interesting, thereby, you know, raise the quality of the work. So it is really important. It's got nothing to do with the final image. The final image means nothing unless you have, in other words, context.
Yeah, context.
The whole lineage thing, though, like the cave paintings to current day, like clearly with like the kids are going to be owning houses in Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto or whatever it is, and have digital artworks in their new houses. Or I've got no idea where we're going, but it definitely feels like the forefront of wherever we are going probably exists on the internet rather than in the physical art world. Like the actual cutting, like sure, you know, everyone's at Freeze this week, which is supposedly the kind of the fair showing the most pioneering cutting edge stuff. In reality, the artists who are really pushing the boundaries are probably doing so online. Would you not think that is probably true? And is it not likely the case that artworks that exist in a digital way are not the kind of most interesting, the most contemporary the most
It's going to
boundary
take
pushing?
time. It's probably going to take time. And again, like context, like world history events will need to take place that coincide with these things. Like mythologies need to be created around these artists and these schools of thought, and like all those things. And just as of right now, they're not. They don't exist enough yet. But it's so funny because I love to play the game, like, what does art look like in the future? And I really think it's going to be like, it's very like, my version's very Black Mirror. I think it'll be a lot like, what was that amazing episode of Black Mirror where, oh my God, it's the most beautiful love story. I cry every time I see it. It's about this woman who's like dying. She's in hospice, but like she has like a debilitating disease, but they put the little thing on her temples, and then it's called like San Junipero. It's so good. It's so good. Spoiler alert, fast forward if you don't want to hear this story, but like she puts it on, and then all of a sudden she's young and beautiful and able-bodied, and she can go to the 80s, or she can go to the 90s, or she can go to the 2000s and go to nightclubs and drink and dance and have fun and have sex and live in a sick house on the beach. And like, but then like, when her credit runs out, like she has to come back to like her physical form. And I think, I'm sure there'll be like a lot of hacking and a lot of what is it called?
That's crazy.
When things are, what is it called? When things are not jailbroken, but like open source. I'm sure a lot of artwork is going to become open source soon. Like so many things are going to come into the public domain, and I think that people are going to be like, oh, for 99 cents, you can like blink, go into the Apple store in your brain and blink, double click. And now you live in Van Gogh world for the next 24 hours. And then you're going to run out of credit, and, you got to blink, you got to go buy more, or you live in an artless existence.
Why is the art world like such a fascinating concept? But why is and there are so many artists who are kind of thinking about this kind of thing and working on some pretty wild stuff, read new technologies. Why is the art world going nowhere near any of it?
Because Layla, I don't know why I'm like really leaning on Layla to back me up here. because
I'm always here for you. If it's against Jamie, I'm here for you.
Because it's expensive. It's a very expensive proposition. Like,
but also
sorry.
Like, to move art, to store art, temperature controlled, for it to not get bumped, to preserve it for posterity, for the, like, for example, like I think this is what makes emerging contemporary art so difficult. Like, emerging contemporary art they're basically been like hedge funds, right? Where they were like art hedge funds, where they were like, okay, we're gonna invest in these artists and like give them the studio and give them this and give them that. But then we instantly have like fractional ownership, or whatever, or we just salary them, and then we control their market, and it's like people try so many different things, but you have to imagine that the commitment of that is not just for this lifetime. If you're really making that commitment, it goes beyond. And it's funny because Hauser and Wirth has a line that I think they trained their senior staff to say, because I have seen it in press releases, I've heard it spoken in real life, and my friend and we like make fun of them and text it to each other like ominously often. But they say, we represent our artists in this life and into the next. And like, that is a very expensive proposition. And that means that you have to really believe in it, because you have to believe that in 100 years people will believe in this. That's an expensive proposition. That it's stuff that we see on the internet. A video that I make, again, I'm not trying to be self-deprecating, Jamie, but we'll cut a deal, when we go offline. But like, people are gonna.
No, let me negotiate for you, Hilde. Let me negotiate. I know how much he's got.
But people were gonna scroll past it, and it as quick as it was in their brain, it's gonna be gone in a second.
But don't you think we've entered a different era? I agree with you. But don't you think it's kind of a reflection of where we are? I mean,
and the
I know
solution
Hauser
surely
Ritz
isn't
says
just
that.
like lean on boring stuff that's not doing anything interesting.
But Hausenworth is not necessarily boring.
No, Hausenworth obviously isn't.
We're not slagging off the whole now, but I think your question was something else, right? You were saying, why is the art world not leaning into this space?
I guess I'm saying, why is it so conservative? Like, it feels almost like dishonest for a fair like Frieze to make out that it's where the forefront of the of contemporary art exists, when it's just not true. Or maybe that's not the case anymore.
But this is.
Sorry.
I'd love your backup on this one, Hilde, because I think you'd agree with me. I think the art world is incredibly technophobic.
Well,
they just really don't like technology. They're absolutely against technology. And it's bizarre because they will have, works that have, that are on film or have some complicated, I don't know, technology involved, but they are absolutely technophobic. And I think our industry is leaning on technology. I had a meeting yesterday with the foundation here. They said, for them,
yes,
it's kind of derogatory to say.
Sorry.
They were like, it's kind of derogatory to say somebody is not technical. It's like, in my world, that's sort of like a bit nerdy, maybe, like to be that, technologically inclined.
I think they're definitely Luddites. They're technophobic, but also I maybe I'm not articulating this correctly, and I need to get better at it, clearly. When I say like it's an expensive proposition, like there are already these markets that are built.
Abandoning those markets is expensive.
Abandoning those markets, losing your clients' trust, losing that market, period. And then there becomes the issue of scarcity, because that artist will die at a certain point, and then there becomes like, their legacy that you can buy and sell and trade and blah, blah, blah. And also, this is where Simone de Paris is correct. It's so tied with money that like, I agree that they're technophobic, and I'm not going to say but, I'm going to say they're technophobic, and there's this incredible investment to a narrative of art. And for them to deviate too quickly, especially when you have to think like the mean age or like the median age for like a collector who's really spending money on art is like 70. You can't jump too fast, or these people like, it's like a CD that starts skipping. Like, if people remember what a CD is, but like
these people,
like, they don't understand. They're like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, I'm 40 and I'm like, I don't know if I believe in NFTs, and if a 22-year-old listening to this, they're like, God, put her in a retirement home, but
that'd be a cool retirement home.
I guess, because I think I saw a video of yours. I think I saw a video of yours at one point where you had some kind of go at NFTs, and I definitely remember thinking like, I thought she was the one who could see through the bad stigma and all of that. Sorry.
I could. It's just that I also got to know the bad players. Like, I think I got introduced to the bad side so quickly that it became hard for me to not be cynical, because I wanted to believe in it, but what's his name? The kid that was working, he went on to do the Bored Ape Yacht Club thing or whatever. He's the one that brought
Noah
people.
Davis? Noah Davis.
Noah, yeah, Noah. Like, I'm sorry, no offense to Noah, but like Noah to me.
He went on to do CryptoPunks.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Lol. But like he came to represent for me like just the opposite of what I thought was good, and then I felt like people by watching people make an about face and suddenly actually care about art world validation, I was just like the whole thesis just disintegrated in front of me.
I'm gonna make it a mission to get you into this. It's the coolest thing. It's so fun. I think you'd love it. I think you'd absolutely love it.
Well, we shouldn't keep you any longer. It's already been over 2 hours. So this has been a real treat. Thank you so much for joining, Hilde. And when I reached out to you, I was like, there's no way she's going to say yes, but I'll try. And I was so happy. You gave me such a warm response. Aww. And I was so excited. I took a screenshot and I sent it to Jamie. And we were both really excited to get to chat to you. So thank you so much for that. And
yeah, thank you. It's so funny. People often, I think because of Jerry Gagosian, when they meet me, they go, you know, you're so much nicer than I thought you'd be.
Yeah, Jerry can be sometimes. No, it's all good.
Do you have a relationship with Larry Gagosian?
No. Do you?
No.
I didn't mean a relationship. I mean, like, do you guys know each other?
We know of each other. Yes.
Oh, this kind of.
Do you have any sense of what he thinks about? Do you have any sense of what he thinks about Jerry?
Yes and no. What I can legally answer is that I'm sure that I'm considered a pesky thorn in his side.
Right.
But also, satire and comedy and freedom of speech are legal in the country that I live in. So
okay, so we need a comedy version of a podcast part 2, and
I've got if
jokes.
there's ever an opportunity for part 2, I've got so many things that came out of this that I'd love to dig in on. But,
yeah, of course, anytime. I mean, also I like
2021 wokeness in the art world. I would love to dig in on.
I would love to dig. Me too. I mean, but like getting canceled doesn't mean anything anymore, which is good. So we can get canceled together. But
does it not mean anything anymore?
No.
Is that it?
No. You like it's actually it's kind of like okay. I'm saying this now, but I really don't want it to happen because my mental health is fragile. But like, in a way, I kind of feel like the smart ones were the ones who just went ahead and got canceled really early on, because then you sort of get to the other side. Like I make a lot of nerdy references, but do you remember, like, did you watch Westworld when it was on HBO?
No.
Okay, well, there's like this like scene where like they figured out how to free the like NPC players, but they had to like cross over, but they had to like it looked like they were walking off of a cliff, but then when they got to the other side, it was like an open, beautiful pasture, and their families were there, and like they were all like free. And I kind of feel like the people who got canceled early on probably were set free of a lot of like secondhand anxiety that, I mean, there was a time when I was like, I'm just not going to post anything because anything could be a cancelable offense. Like there have been moments in recent history. And I think this is why people, sorry, now I'm just jumping into it, but it won't be too long. Like, I think this is why people have swung so far right. Is because they're like so angry at the fact that like the thought police like came in and demanded that everybody think exactly the same. And if you
or calling them fascists.
yeah, and if you yeah, exactly, and then you got called a fascist if you didn't think and act just like, which is fascism. So like I think it swung like so far in both ways. And also I know some people say this is a cop out. I don't think it is. Like, especially with humor, especially with comedy, like comedy, especially social comedy, is pointing out social differences. Like, I don't know if it was Dave Chappelle or somebody who I like, he was like talking about like the problem with this like whole like cancel culture thing, and he's like, man, I miss the days. I can't even remember what he said, but he's like, because he can say the N word and I can't, but he'd be like, my Puerto Rican friends, I'll say friends, he'd be like, we used to crack on each other, blah blah blah, and then they'd call me the blah blah blah, like, and he was like, and that was like the basis of our friendship, was like kind of constantly, jokingly, lovingly pointing out like, you think this, oh, I think that, or whatever. Like there's a love in that, and then it just became like illegal to admit difference or joke about difference, unless it was, I think you could, what was the rule? Like you could punch up, seemingly so, like you could punch up, but you could never punch down. But then the up and the down became very convoluted, and at some point it was like you couldn't make a joke about anything without someone somewhere feeling victimized and traumatized by an opinion. And it just became like a lot like the art world, where I was like, I never got into this to be in like this conservative, like technophobic, buttoned up, like you can't talk about getting blackout drunk at the bar type of place. Like I also didn't, like, I remember seeing artwork where you would be like shocked, and like that was like the back to the Balenciaga thing being misplaced in time, you know, like that would have been really something cool to see in the 90s. But it, now people see it and they're like, oh, pedophiles, like this is the pedophile cabal, like, oh, acting in plain sight. And you're like, no, it's art. And it's like, maybe it's out of its time. It was not placed in the correct time. And I don't know, I just think like, I'm really glad we're not in 2021, 2020, 22, 23. I feel like people are getting a little too, the polarization thing is just another nuts thing. It's really happening. People are,
the polarization thing.
Yeah, like I remember like the Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump moment, where everybody's reality was fractured because there were so many people that were just absolutely convinced like tomorrow we're going to have a woman president, and some people were absolutely convinced tomorrow we're going to have, this guy's going to drain the swamp, and like we're going to have this like non-politician politician come in. And like that was like the beginning of the rupture of a certain part of the matrix. And now it's happening again, and it's crazy. Like you know, yesterday was a very significant day to declare, you know, like to declare a ceasefire and for hostages on both sides to be returned. Like everyone should be happy, and instead there's people online shitting on the other side, and you're like, stop making this about you. Like this is about like maybe the world being this much better today than it was yesterday. But it's just like, we live in a crazy time. You can't say shit. Somebody might cancel me for saying that, maybe. I don't know. I just have to say, because I have a podcast too, like I like people who are not yes people. So, you know, this can be an ongoing dialogue where we can talk about a lot of different things, because I
love this.
Yeah, it's good for me. I like to be challenged. I get a lot of people, I'm kind of overly domineering sometimes.
No.
And then like people just agree with me, and I like when people are like, I'm gonna push back on that one with you, you know, because now I'm gonna go do Pilates and think about NFTs. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to
Expect to be
re-argue.
nagged. You're going to be nagged about NFTs, Hilda. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's going to become like our #1 collector and artist and gallery.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love NFTs. By the way.
All right. Well, that'll be fun. Like you can like try like different.
Yes.
religious
Oh,
conversions.
I know. Wait a minute. I just came up with a project. We convert you.
Yeah.
We like convert you to an NFT like true believer,
And, the minute,
and
I swear,
there'll be a before and after.
I say I'm going on record right now to say this. I tried this with Cause, by the way, and it did not work. But I'm saying this.
So Cause couldn't convert you to get his work.
I tried, and everyone's like, Brian's a nice guy, and like, oh, he's a great gateway drug.
Really?
Other art, blah blah blah. And I was like,
this is
no.
different.
Those are dolls for grown men. Like, no. I couldn't be convinced, but I made a solemn promise to the internet about him, and I'll make this about NFTs. Like, if there is a moment that I am earnestly swayed, I swear to God, I will be honest and tell you. Like, I won't like hold it back for the sake of, holding out or something.
Right.
Yeah. I'll be like, you got me. You win.
Okay.
Game over.
All right,
we'll
good. Gonna roll our sleeves up then. I know Jamie's already like thinking of what to send you, so be ready. You're gonna get a lot of voice messages and links, and I apologize in advance for my colleague. Thank you so much, Hilde. You've been great. Yeah. I really think we need a part 2, so we're gonna definitely do that.
And thank you for opening up.
Yes. Thank you for sharing so openly, and I'm sorry if we went to places we maybe shouldn't have gone, but thank you for being so open about it. And congrats on everything. You're amazing. We're all big fans, and which is why we invited you. So thanks for making it.
All right, I'll see you guys soon.